Welcome to the Antelope Valley Union High School District Board of Trustees meeting. This board meeting is being recorded. Anyone wishing to observe the meeting may do so via AVUHSD's YouTube channel. Individuals may take photographs or record meetings provided the individual's conduct does not constitute a disruption, including obstructing the views of others. Those wishing to address items on the agenda and matters that are not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the AVUHSD board shall do so in person, complete a speaker form, and give it to the designee before the public comment portion of the meeting. The speaker form must be given to Ms. Orozco before the board president announces the item. Once the item has been called, we will no longer accept new cards. Ms. Orozco will call the individual's name to come up to the podium to provide their comments. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. A total time for public input on each item shall be limited to 20 minutes. Non-agendized items are limited to a total allotment of 20 minutes. Only one person is permitted to stand at the podium at a time. No speaker may relinquish a time allotment to another speaker. The district encourages members of the public to attend board meetings and to address the board concerning any item on the agenda or within the board's jurisdiction. The board does not prohibit public criticism of its policies, procedures, programs, services, acts, or omissions. Similarly, the board does not prohibit public criticism of district employees. Speakers are cautioned that no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. Attendees are also reminded of the board's civility policy, Policy 1313. This civility policy requires that members of the district staff will treat parents and other members of the public with respect and expect the same in return. The district is committed to maintaining disruption-free board meetings. The board will not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of its board meetings. Persistent disruption by an individual or group are grounds to terminate the privilege of addressing the board. Persistent disruption by an individual shall be grounds for the board president to terminate the individual's privilege to address the board. The district promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among district board members, district employees, parents, and the public. The district seeks public cooperation with this endeavor.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to do roll call. Trustee Mann. Here. Trustee Hughes.
Here.
Trustee Hernandez.
Here.
Our student board member, John Lloyd Sensa Gabriel, is not here.
First, can I make an announcement? Because this is a special board meeting, there are no comments from the public on unagendized items. It's only on the agenda. And then I have an introduction, if you're okay with it.
Yeah, let's finish roll call.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you're in the middle.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Oh.
Oh, okay. So I want to introduce the student board member from Quartz Hill High School for the 2025-26 school year. Rihanna, and you have to help me with your last name.
Mabarki.
Say again?
Mabarki.
Babarki. Nice to have you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We can
Hello.
certainly invite you to take your seat if you so desire.
Okay,
Is that
thank you so
okay,
much.
President? No, June 30th. Come up here, my friend. Come up. Welcome to this fun bunch. Rihanna.
See, now you get even more than 3 minutes.
Yeah,
You got
there
3
you go.
hours.
There you go.
Let's do it. Yeah. This. Great. So our new 25-26 student board member, Rihanna, I didn't catch the last name. Babarki is also here. Mr. Sanchez is not here today. I am here, Carla Corona. All right, let's go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Hughes, would you mind leading us?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. All right. C, public comments from the floor on agendized items. Are there any comments from the public on agendized items?
I don't have any speaker cards at this time.
Okay.
Anybody want to speak on the agenda?
Well, my understanding with Greg is that we'll be able to have discussion.
Discussion, yes.
Okay, so that will be anybody's opportunity to talk about the one agenda item on this agenda. Okay, so we're gonna move on to review proposed revisions to BP 5131.8, AR 5131.8. And this is our first read and discussion. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees review the proposed revisions to the board policies and administrative regulations as presented. So what I would first like to do to help the community is, can you please, Mr. Nehan, define the difference between a policy and a regulation so that we're all on the same page?
So the policy is the philosophy and the overarching direction of the board. The administrative regulation is how that policy is carried out. Is that
Wonderful.
helpful?
Yes. Any questions? Are we clear in our audience as well? Wonderful. Okay, so this is our time to talk about the mobile communications devices. We can start with the policy first, although they do inform each other. And then the regulation. Now, this is a California state law that each public education district create a policy for mobile devices. And I know, Mr. Nehan, actually, can you give us just a refresher of the process that has taken place of conversations with the surveys, et cetera?
So I'll defer to Dr. Grado. He was the one who led the cell phone committees.
So can you let us know what has been done to bring us to these pages?
Yes, absolutely. So in January, a committee was put together of all educational partners. So had administrators, teachers, classified, and also had parent input as well as student input. They came up with a survey ahead of time that went out to all families, and students had about 7,300 or 7,354 in terms of responses as to the policy ideas and the idea behind it per the state, and kind of what they would like to see. So and with that, with the committee, they looked at the concerns from parents, concerns from students. As you could imagine, students weren't extremely excited about it right away, but parents were. There was a positive response. The one negative place was their real concern about being able to reach students in case of an emergency. But there's actually language in the law that says that they would be able to use student cell phones in emergencies. So a lot of that was quelled. They met continually, looked at the CSBA language, suggested language for the policy, put that into, kind of took away some of the old, as you'll see, the policy here struck a bunch of old language, put new CSBA language in there, and then kind of took for the regulation different ideas according to what the committee was saying and what teachers were saying as to what they would put into place per the board approval. And as you know, the last meeting is where the first read would have taken place, and then looking to put it in place for this school year, even though per the law, we have actually another year. We want to get it in here this first year in case we have to make any kind of revisions to it. Maybe some oversights we didn't see or something along those lines.
Great, thank you. And then we remember we had the work study with the ICC rep, and we heard a lot from the students as well. And so that was good. And again, this is the law to mandate that school districts develop a policy to limit or prohibit the use of smartphones while students are at school. This is very articulate, clear, but we also have the right, Mr. Nehan, to create whatever that policy looks like, correct? Okay. All right, so let's start talking. Go ahead.
Madam President, I think we have a.
Oh, great. AVTA representative, yes.
Right, I'd like to.
Yes. So how does this, because I understand it's not a public comment we're discussing, but
Discussion, so similar to a work study,
Okay.
The floor is open. There can be dialogue back and forth, and we can have speakers at the podium.
yes, welcome. And what's your name?
I'm Lee Martinez. I served on the cell phone committee, and I'm a teacher and a union rep at my site, Courtsville High School.
Outstanding.
Wonderful. So do you want to start our conversation? Any thoughts? I mean, really comments, feedback, responses to the sheet. I mean, it's been on the agenda, but it's been here since last meeting as well.
I think I'll wait until there's some specific
Sure.
questions, but just overall.
I have one.
Okay, good.
Okay, so you sat on the committee.
Mhm.
Based on sitting on the committee, you addressed a lot of the teachers' concerns, correct? And tried to have language in the policy from your guys' perspective, right?
So the way that we were split up is by group. So I was in the teacher group, and we were asked to put together our idea of what the consequences would be. And that was at the end of the first meeting. And each group got to say what they wanted the consequences to be. And that was kind of tabled after that. And the second meeting, we came together and we were told, well, here's a preliminary draft of what that policy might look like. Let's go through it and make the changes. So we went through and we made comments. I made some very specific comments about concerns from teachers about how much time this is going to take away from class time. I mean, I remember having a class last year that was a little more behavioral heavy, and spending 2 to 3 hours after school having to go through the PBIS and SSC paperwork out of my own time. So I am very concerned, and so are some of the other teachers and staff, that this is going to take a lot of time to log. So I asked that they add something into the policy that would streamline that process. I know that Megan Andrews, who was in charge of those meetings, had talked about an automated system, but nothing in the policy draft that I saw mentioned an automated system. But it would be easy for us to to give them a consequence and log that very quickly, and then an automated message sent home. But I saw that in the draft, it said that parents and guardians would be contacted. But by whom and in what format, it did not specify.
Okay, I'm just gonna kind of, my position is this. I know Ms. Mann sat on Lancaster School Board prior to being elected to this the higher level board into the high school, and I know they implemented pouches. And I know I have an outstanding colleague over here that talked about, you know, hey, students should be, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, be able to have a phone, but they have to be responsible. But with that, you know, being responsible, there's consequences to be responsible as well. One of my concerns, huge concerns, and I've said it about this policy, is I'm not going to vote for a policy that is putting that burden on the teachers, because it's kind of like we have to find something in between pouches and Miss Sanchez down there, her idea of responsibility. Because I believe, I'm sorry, Miguel didn't say it, Mr. Hernandez, sorry. I'm just going to call him my girl because she's awesome. So I want to find that, and I don't want to waste a lot of time, because I do not want to make my teachers cops, right? Because they're not here to be cops. They're here to teach. We don't want our kids on the phones or AirPods or watches, because they need to be being taught. I totally understand there's this time that you're going to utilize your phone for schoolwork. because the teacher's going to direct, hey, let's Google something, or hey, I want you to research something. Perfect opportunity in whatever the teacher wants in that environment. So this policy, I can't vote for it because it's just so vague. There's no consequences. And I want to know, and I know the kids want to know, and I want the parents to know that X, if you do this, because this is the rule, you can't do this. If you do it, we're just not going to, never let you have a cell phone again, but there has to be a progressive process. And I want to see that in would that be our regulation, Greg, or regulation?
That is in the regulation.
Okay.
There is, we see corrective actions.
Yes.
Those steps won't be in the policy, but they will be in the AR.
Okay. But I want something these are the rules. Here's the rules. I think Tupac said, you know the rules, right? It's easy. You know the rules. And if you violate the rules, you know what's going to happen. And I don't want my teachers wearing badges because they didn't sign up to be a cop. So
They're wearing different types of badges. Yeah.
Yes.
ID badges.
Yes.
That have the little clicker.
to call the cops.
Exactly.
Anyway, but what I'm trying to say is the teachers need to be able to monitor the fact that there's a violation. And I agree with you. There should be a easy method to report that violation. And that violation needs to be reported to the parents, because the best discipline will happen at home with the parents holding the kids accountable. Because I know when my kids growing up, they were bad. The first thing I did is took their cell phone, and it was like the worst punishment they could ever get in their life. We understand that. So that's what I would like to see us work through, from the teachers' concerns to the students' concerns. Because of course, this is their life. And we heard that with the ICC. So
Yes. Well, and I think that we also have to be careful of the punitive aspect, because we don't always want to just go for the negative. Like, you did this, so give it to me. However, we do have to teach our youth as well as the staff that the classroom, or it says at school, that is for learning, and learning comes in many ways and many forms. Because I actually would not agree that the cell phone can be, let's do our lesson, because every kid gets a Chromebook.
sure.
Exactly.
But I would say,
So what's the
these need
purpose
to
of the
just
Chromebook?
go.
That's what my question would be.
Perfect.
One of the
I retract that statement.
one of the students has stated that they don't want us to get rid of their iPads while in class. But then what's the purpose of the Chromebook?
Absolutely.
We
have
you
to
have
build-
to operate it. So why have it and not have the kids use the Chromebook properly?
I think that's a good question.
Yeah, you're in this discussion right
Yeah,
now.
everybody. So
Again,
again,
a disagreement. I'm just saying.
No, that's fine.
um,
I retract. I misspoke. No phones. But whatever the teacher wants.
but I think, because you look very familiar, the front folks, but students, I think you're here for a reason, because you want to maybe give us some
Input.
voice, but let's hear it, because what I want us to be able to do, because we need to get this
Done.
by July 15th board meeting.
Okay.
But we need to determine, is it a pouch, or is it
Absolutely.
I trust you to turn it off? What are the teacher's thoughts? What are our
Yep.
thoughts? What are so I
You-
think we need to
You
go
stand-
back.
You stand up. Actually, you know what? You
Back.
come up here. I'm gonna. Can I miss man? Come up here. I'm put you.
Yeah, put her.
Miguel
Because it is the
defer to you,
microphone.
because then it's easier to have a discussion. Come on up. Come on up.
Yeah, this is just a discussion.
Greg's like going,
Yeah.
here we go. It's going crazy. Sorry, Greg.
No,
I
this
just
is-
wanted to get this done.
Yes, it's
Discuss.
just, so hold on. Okay, yes, my friend in the front, remind us of your name, and then I think we have
You
a
guys could
minute.
do podium, and then they could just go to the podium.
Yeah,
if you want.
you could go to the
Yeah, you can go
podium.
to the podium.
Yeah, you don't have to
Stand
pass the
up.
mic.
Well, my name is Arturo Ramirez, and I'm from Eastside. And I just wanted to reply on like, why don't we use the Chromebooks? For me, a reason is because the Wi-Fi doesn't really work sometimes. In some classes, it blocks out the internet. In one of my math classes, we couldn't use the Chromebooks at all because it blocked the Wi-Fi. And another reason was because the Chromebooks were broken too.
Hold on one second. So Wi-Fi, Mr. Grado, I go to Mr. Grado. So Wi-Fi, is there issues with the Wi-Fi in some of our areas?
There could be because of overuse at times if it's testing or something like that. And sometimes just some of the buildings are more difficult because of and for instance, at Highland, just the thickness of the walls and that, but we should have enough hotspots and we could go through and make sure that.
Yeah, and there are
Um,
extenders that we could buy too and
Right.
fix that.
Yeah, if we
issue.
could fix that.
It
Okay.
may have been a challenge on a particular day, may have been a district-wide network outage versus Wi-Fi in one room. If it is one room, we could take a look at that particular
Okay.
room.
But it sounds like you're saying that in a particular class all the time. There
Yeah,
was no.
this is my
Wi-Fi. So
freshman
that's
year
been
when-
ongoing.
But it was just like every day. It wasn't just during testing days. No, it was just every day. She would be like, "Oh, we can't use the Chromebooks today because the Wi-Fi is not working today." And then like it was again and again and again and again that we just had to see her going on the Promethean board and just see how the math works and everything. So we just
That's
couldn't use
crazy.
the
You mean
computer.
you learn math on a whiteboard? That's crazy. Who would have ever done that ever?
Well, there are some classes that
crazy.
use just computers. No paper. What's that class that uses only Chromebooks? It was a math class.
East Side as well? Yeah. Well,
So that's the reason why we don't use Chromebooks, because they're damaged most of the time. They're like 7 Chromebooks damaged and we just can't use them, and then because the Wi-Fi doesn't work either. So those are the reasons
So
why.
are you telling me in that class, your teacher had everybody on their cell phone doing their work?
Some of us, yeah. Because the Wi-Fi wasn't working, so we had to use
But-
our own.
cell phone work without the Wi-Fi? I know it's the 5G or, you don't have to do the Bluetooth connection, but how were you able to use your cell phone?
Because of our
through the
data.
walls? Huh?
Because of our data. We don't have to rely on the school's
Got
Wi-Fi.
it. You were relying on your own.
Yeah, we rely on our own
But is
data.
that the only example that you have once in math class or one semester?
Well,
in
that
math
was a
class?
whole year, actually. It
In-
wasn't
in
just one
math class,
example.
one
Yeah.
area math class.
Another one was in my science class, my human body systems. We couldn't use the Chromebooks either because it wasn't working. Again,
Okay.
the Wi-Fi wasn't working. They just said it was down. And one time, my school's Wi-Fi was down the whole day. So, those are the reasons why.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm a proponent of books and papers and pens, because then you don't have to rely on technology at all anymore. I mean, I trust me, I love my technology. I value it. I appreciate those that created it. However, we have got to get to a place of our district where the classrooms are to learn effectively through different ways, visual, writing, engaging with people, group work, all these different methodologies of teaching, if you will, or methodologies of instruction, where we're not just like this the whole entire time. So it has to happen, but now we just need to determine, what does that look like? Because I hear you. I mean, the Chromebooks, I think they're not the best quality of computation, but we can afford them. So that's why everyone gets a Chromebook. The Wi-Fi, I can't answer those questions. I mean, Dr.
but-
Greta will have to look into it.
But those are easy fix with the board. We can get repeaters and you can identify what are those classrooms, because we should have our Wi-Fi there. And if it's not, we figure out how to get Wi-Fi there. So.
Right, that shouldn't even be an excuse as to why the kids can't get their lessons. I mean, that should
That's
be
our
like,
obligation.
hey, that's number one.
It-
This is important. We need to fix it if we're gonna have the kids on any type of
Absolutely.
device.
Well, and I would ask the teachers, generally speaking, are the teachers now moved to a place where they predominantly rely on technology to teach, and they don't ever have plan B if there's no Wi-Fi? Because that could be another issue to look into.
I mean, it varies.
Okay.
Some of us are wholly digital. Everything's on Google Classroom or Canvas. Some of us go in between. That's what I do. And I've noticed, like, the last couple years, some of my students will say that they prefer writing on paper again because they're just on the Chromebooks way too
Yeah.
often. So I think some of us are moving back toward paper, and some right in between area there.
Okay, so
Just because-
Wi-Fi is
Yes.
that's a secondary issue right
Yeah.
now. We're not gonna get
Okay.
bogged
Yeah.
up in that, and
Okay.
Chromebooks, we're not gonna get bogged up
Okay,
in that.
but
So let's.
here with the kids, speak, because I would love to hear, what do you prefer? We got to choose something, and you all showed up, so we want to hear your opinions. Go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Jacob Lopez. I'm from Sor Palmdale, and I have a question for you, board member. Uh Ms. Corona? So this school district I heard is pro technology, and you said that you'd rather be with books and pencils. So I have a question: are you pro technology as well, or are you more aside? Because from what I'm hearing, it's that this school district, which including the board, is pro technology. So.
So we're
Let me help out. She's the president of this board. She was duly elected as president, and she's a college professor. So I think she just said clearly, I'm not going to speak for her, but she said she's loves her technology, but she's also a professor, knows how we learned and how learning is in different areas, and she wants to see it in everything different areas. So
yeah, and I
like
would
that.
say
So-
we're pro. It's such a vague area of pro technology because, I mean, technology can be labeled in so many different ways. We are aware and for evolution moving forward and progressing to get you all ready for the 21st century jobs that are coming. That's there. However, I believe that in the classroom, there has to be a sense of restriction for the devices. And it's also a state law. So now we got, and it's okay to have both. I can certainly be pro technology, however, know when it is appropriate or when it is not appropriate. And I see my students in my own classroom, they're watching YouTube, they're playing their games. They can't get, they have the tabs open and they'll click it real quick. And so we have to somehow figure that out. But so hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, and Mr. Hughes, I have a question for you. So backtracking off what you said that there should be consequences for students using their phones in class, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I've heard from different students around the school district that there are some teachers that don't care if students are on their phone. So what are your thoughts on that?
A couple thoughts. First and foremost, whatever I'm going to hold my students to, I'm going to hold the teachers to because it's only fair. I'm not the hypocrisy is always drives my ambition.
Correct.
Secondly, I have a superintendent that his job is to have his teachers or his staff under him follow the policy of this board because we set the policy. Does that answer your question?
In a way, because
What part in it? So help let me clear it up.
because it's a personal experience for me. I can't talk for, the whole entire, all of our schools, but it's a personal experience for me that there's a class, I'm not going to say because I don't want to shout the teacher out or like their class.
Just tell us what you saw and we
So-
believe you.
This teacher would take their outside life and put it into our class. So she would be on the phone calling whoever, not teaching our class. We don't even have work to do. And I go to Sor Palmdale. It's very rigorous too.
Absolutely.
It's very rigorous, and we have work to do. So what else do we got to do? We go on our phones, or either that, or if we have any other schoolwork, which we probably don't because we finish it, we just go on our phones, and that's a whole class time wasted.
Absolutely. This board up here, we've had a lot of discussions. I can tell you about that exact problem. Look, I'm going to hold the teacher accountable. Well, I'm not personally. I'm going to set a policy to instruct that man to hold that teacher accountable if that's what's occurring. See, only thing we need to know, and I know you don't want to be a snitch and you don't want to dime the teacher out because snitches get stitches. I'm coming from law enforcement. I'm just saying.
Isn't there?
I
ways
get it.
Anonymously, like. there's-
Absolutely. The bottom line is Mr. Nehan would, I'm telling you this is my superintendent. He would not put up, if he had knowledge of that, because that teacher's getting paid really good money because we gave him really good pay raises to do a job to teach kids. And if they're on their phone, that's all they're doing. Trust me, I own a restaurant. I will fire an employee if they violate my policy, right? So consequences, I'll fire. Cynthia, excuse me. I think you said last time, I'll let you have the phone, but go ahead and mess up. You ain't working here anymore. Right. So
Yeah.
hopefully
And,
that answers it crystal clear. Right. Okay.
and I think you bring up a really good point too, because you're saying Sor Palmdale, that's a really small campus. So if you're experiencing that, and I've actually seen it when I'm walking around high schools or whatnot, I can only imagine on the bigger, larger campuses what is happening. Now, not every teacher, and I want to make sure our teacher union here understands we respect and honor all of our educators. However,
We have to lead by example.
Absolutely.
exactly. And we haven't been holding them to the way that we need to accountability, which is why
That's why we're going to be doing this. And that's
Yeah.
why we want to know what we need to put in this to hold people accountable.
yeah. And I would encourage you all, speak up. Let us know, because I don't read minds, number one. And trust me, when I hear about something or any of the board members hear about something, it gets addressed.
Ask
You
it.
may not like the answer. I may not like the answer, but it does get addressed. And I think the more that the leaders, the student leaders, but beyond just you all can give your thoughts, let's hear it. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Genesis Castro from Lancaster High School. And I had an opinion over you guys trying to decide if the pouches or relying on consequences or thinking if the kids are going to be responsible enough to put their phone away. Personally, me as a student that knows that when my phone is put away, I can do a lot more work than when I have it available with me. I can say that if there's a way to actually do the pouches, but somehow once we enter into class, put them in the pouches, and once we walk out of class, we can have our phone. So that during like class time while we're inside class, we actually get our work done, and obviously it's put away. But once we step outside, like passing periods, going to our other classes, we have our phone available because obviously we're kids and we're teenagers. If we have our phone off for more than like 2 hours, some kids are like, oh my God, like I need to check my notifications or
There's like
something.
20 minutes.
Yeah, so it's like, I
Get
feel
it.
like, yeah.
It does say allowed use would be before the start of the instructional day, nutrition break and snack lunch, passing periods, and at the end of the instructional day. So that has been taken into account. That's a really good.
I think
suggestion.
what she's saying is there for a process, like you walk in the classroom, you grab your phone, you drop it in a box, everybody go sit down. Now it's learning time. It's time to leave. They come, they pick up the phone, they walk out, and next class they come in, they drop it in the box
So,
or something.
Or the pouch. Yeah.
so the pouches are,
A pouch is to seal.
right. So, I did ask Mr. Nehan what the cost was, and it is pretty expensive. And a lot of the times kids will walk off with the pouches and forget, because they're magnetic. So it's got a little magnetic clip. And then they'll take a pair of scissors to it. So you're gonna damage the property. I like it as put it away. You have to learn responsibility. That's what high school is for. We have to put that on you. And so there will be a consequence if you don't. We have given you the liberty to do so. Put it away, be responsible. And if you're not, take it away, put it in a pouch, and then you have to go to the office to go and get it unlocked. But it would be put away for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But I think that's, well, go ahead. Because I have.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to that. So my name's Aiden. I'm from Eastside too. I think the pouches, if you guys are still considering that, I don't think like that should even be considered just because of the fact that I think you would be wasting your resources towards, the money going into that. Because, and also the point that she brought, I agree on the standpoint that like if my phone is just like not accessible, then I work better. But I also think that trying to find a way to lock up the phones while in class and then keeping them not open during passing period is just not going to work because it's going to take too much time, getting through each individual student. And then that's a whole other thing that you have to think about on top of this, policy. And then I think that just having the pouches in general just won't work just because of, being a student. We already know the ways to get around it, like already, and we don't even have them here, so I think it's just a waste of resources, in general.
So then what do you suggest?
I was just gonna ask that. If you could write this policy
Yeah,
right
so
now,
you could write this policy
what would you say?
knowing now you're gonna have to act, you have to put yourself in the parenting role too. So knowing that you've given your child a phone just in case or whatever, and you go to school, you have a responsibility to put it away, and you don't, what would be the consequence? And how would you handle that?
I think on the topic of whether, you know, the pouch or not, I think it is about responsibility. You know, I think we as students have to be held to their responsibility. But I know then again that people aren't just going to follow, you know, because that's what this whole meeting is about. It's not just about telling you to put your phone away. But personally, I can't give like a set, you know, thing. But I think it does have to go with trusting the students because, you know, considering also trying not to police the teachers, that like eliminates a whole, you know, aspect of how to combat this. But at the same time,
And also too, is that you're taking time away from the class. So if there is a confrontation, or if there is a discussion, or if there is a, you know, an outburst or whatever, then now you're taking away of everybody's time, including the teacher's time. So we have to come up with something. So
Anybody out there have an idea of if you could write the policy? Well, what would you say? How would you control it in a procedure type thing? You walk into class, how?
I'm Emily Barca from Eastside High School. Not like necessary to answer your question, but the question you asked before. I would think like maybe something on the wall because it's still accessible. Like I don't know if you see when like the calculator, like the sleeves, because I feel like you're not completely shutting off like the phone. Well, you are, but you're not like sealing it off like the pouches would. Because then again, like you said, students will find a way to either get a magnet or like you're just wasting, like Aiden said, your resources on something that could be on a better something for something else. So I feel like a pouch on the wall, you still have your phone. You're not like freaking out that you don't have it with you on. It's on the wall, it's put away, and then you out of the class, slip out of the wall, and you're like on your way to your next class. I feel like that's better money spent.
Do you feel, because I like that idea, kind of like the shoe organizer that
Yeah,
you're hanging.
yeah.
that's what I was
Yeah.
just imagining.
The shoe organizer that I remember having at one point.
My shoes.
All your
Yeah.
shoes, Mr. Hughes. Would there be a concern? Because I think I would. I mean, yeah, theft of like, let me, you know, and because then who's monitoring that? Or, I mean, I would even say you have a number, you're number 5. Every time you go to number 5, 5, 5, that's your assigned number. In my ideal world, that's order and that makes sense. But I also live in reality and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if our students take direction that well. They're so rebellious. Y'all are so rebellious.
Well, so was I, but.
I know, but I mean, go ahead.
Yeah.
Actually use those in the class.
The shoe organizer?
Yeah.
Does it
yeah.
work?
It does.
For some
yeah.
folks.
It does.
What class?
English?
English. Does
Maybe
anybody
we need
have
to go
her
look at her class.
11 and 12.
But you only use it in that
I'd like to
class?
look.
No,
You use it for all your classes?
for all my classes, and they all do have an assigned number. And that's how I'll take roll, and then I do a visual roll as well. So that way, if like a slot is empty, I know who I'm looking for. I know who hasn't put it up. And I've never had any problems with students messing with somebody else's cell phone or anything. I know that it was like a concern of mine too, but it never.
What
it
is your guys'
occurred.
thoughts on that?
let's ask, so when you say like the policing on teachers, would you consider leaving the environment on how we would limit the policies to the teacher's discretion? Was that like basically policing?
I think we have to set a clear mandate.
So you can't give the teachers like options on how they want to.
It has to be consistent.
It has to be
Okay.
As
consistent.
soon as you start saying, okay, well then we'll give you an option to do this, and then it becomes, what class are you in? And how are we gonna do it here? And then what class, then you go to the next class and this is how they do it. It has to be consistent, straight through. We have to make a decision and just make it consistent.
Because I think subject dependency is like one of the biggest things that should be considered within this policy. Because
Yeah.
subject dependency, like different classes, you know, utilize technology for different things. And I feel like there's certain classes where having technology is, you know, necessary, especially for, you know, like being an ASB. I don't know if that's like all of us, but that's a class where like it's very phone reliant and is not, you know, a problem.
And I
But
think that's
why-
where the discussion of the Chromebook came in. And then we went off on a discussion of Wi-Fi. So right now,
Well-
we really just want to stick to what is the set policy.
Yeah.
And then we can make, and again, we have one more year, and then we can make adjustments. And that's where your input is so valuable.
So Mr. Nehan, Could you have something along the lines of saying like, the principal can authorize a teacher to, change the policy for a specific, if it's in writing and then the principal says it's okay. Like, or whatever, well, I don't even know how that looks, but
Well,
I'd
it's
have an
here.
administrator.
Regulation, it says when a teacher or administrator grants permission to a student to use a device subject to any reasonable limitation posed by the teacher or administrator.
Yeah,
Its temporary permission shall only be granted under the circumstance.
And what is that?
So under the legislation, it's limited during instruction time. Cell phone use is limited during instruction time. And it can be temporarily, permission can temporarily be granted in the event of an emergency. So something like allowing the principal latitude to give certain teachers certain rights, it wouldn't fall under the statute.
So, okay, so it's a violation. See, we also are dealing with a state law. There were some legislators, which I'm trying to be here pretty soon, get to make some crazy laws.
Madam President, I believe our student board member has some comments.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to ask.
I don't have
okay,
anything else though.
For the pouches, who would be able to access them and open them?
So they're magnetic. So depending on how we set the policy is there's a magnet. So how we did it at the Lancaster School District is that if a child violated the policy, then we would take their phone and they would put it in the pouch. We would give them the pouch back. So they would hold on to the pouch the rest of the day.
Okay.
Before leaving school, they would have to go to the office and which this is the way around. There's a magnet. It's a certain strength magnet, but it's a magnet. And you just put it up on the wall, it opens it, and then you leave the pouch.
I'd
and
be
it
selling
goes
that
off.
magnets to school.
Right? So then what
2 for
has
50.
been happening is the kids, it's you go home, school's out, you go home and you forget that you have this pouch. So now you have your pouch and your phone is trapped in the pouch. So you're going to take a pair of scissors to it.
I see.
Which is-
Okay. And
Yeah.
it would take up too much class time to reopen the pouch every class period and put it back and everything like
I mean,
that.
I can
see.
put it in the classrooms
Okay.
and then, open up the pouch. However, it just depends on how we want to set that policy.
I would say for the little hangers on the walls, I've had that in some of my classes, but it is potentially a liability to the teachers just in case something does happen and then
Well, I mean,
It's
we
in
can,
here
we
too.
can make it really good and just say there's no cell phones, that, everybody has to drop their cell phones and you can use it during emergency. So
But I
you gotta
believe
be
it says
careful
on
how
there that
far
we-
right or how far left. We're trying to make it so it's reasonable. That the teachers can control it, that the kids are still feeling that they have access. We're following the law on what it tells us what we have to do. So that's, and I'm not a big proponent on the pouches. I think I go back to its responsibility. We're trying to teach you guys to be
Right,
good
and it's
men and
just, it
women.
is.
And I could tell you, you get a job at NASA, you're not going to get a chance to say, I need my phone. You're going to drop it. You can't take it into these areas. Militaries, there's going to be so many jobs that you get in will not allow you to have a phone while
device.
you're working. It's just starting to gear you guys up for your next level where you're making money. So,
I mean, my position definitely is, I don't want them in the classroom. The pouches, I think I agree with you. It's gonna take way too much time because you all switch every single class, right? You're mobile. It's not like, I can understand in an elementary school that don't move classrooms, that it makes sense. You collect it and then for the day. But you're hopping around from one end of the campus to the other.
and you're young adults, right? I mean,
Right.
that's the key.
And
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the-
and ultimately, we're asking you to trust us. We need to be able to trust you. And I think it's a shift, right? And people are going to be really angry. Teachers may be really happy. Maybe some will be really mad because guess what? Those teachers can't go on their phones anymore either. Right? Because what are their consequences? If you're all going to have corrective action, as they call it here, what is that? So, I mean, I hope we can get to a place, and Cynthia, I would love to hear your thoughts, that we just don't have them because, but also then we need to recognize it's an addiction. This is literally what an addiction is. If you see it on the wall, then you're going to be like, oh my God, I need it, right? It's like this, I don't want, it's like soda pop, we'll call it, I want it, it's there, it's so reachable. Because that is addiction. And I think that is the other question to look at with this policy is because we're gonna have a lot of withdrawn kids.
But I think that's gonna subside over a few years due to the fact of all schools are mandated to do this, especially the
Yeah.
younger kids are gonna be used to the pouches and
I know.
these guys right now are in there like, I've had it, now I'm taking it or
Yeah,
or
you're gonna feel
restricting
it the most.
Yeah, but 4 years from now, 5 years from now, it's just gonna be,
It's
this is
gonna
what we
stay.
do. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
gonna be
if
something
you had
else.
two choices to, they're like gone out in the classroom. I think I'll give you three.
More questions. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say it is all about responsibility and it is up to the students. And ultimately, there is nothing much we can do because the bottom line, they'll do what they want. So it's if you want to trust them enough to put it in their backpack and away, and if you see it out, that's when you start to take the corrective actions and take the steps, like the detention, the OCD, student support services. That's where you start to take it. I would fully agree with that. But ultimately, they will do what they want. So it is going to take a long time to get a hold of it.
I think though, who are we gonna make that job? Is it, because the teacher, that's gonna add more work to teaching, and that's not teaching, that's monitoring. Is it a principal? Is it a vice principal? Is it a counselor? I mean, who is the one that will be,
The disciplinarian?
yeah,
I think that's,
Well, I think that would have to be your principal.
yeah, your
or vice
administrator.
your administrators. Your
Yeah, but-
teachers, and I'm assuming here is as soon as class starts, is like, okay, guys, get your phones out of the way, put them away, or I'll take them away. Either way,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, but another thing
Not
is that
take it
I don't.
away, but
yeah.
just put them away,
So-
and that's it.
So this is gonna be our first year. Of course, we're gonna reevaluate and see it. I mean, I kind of envision a process that's probably already working. So if I had something to throw out right now, just from a little discussion, our teacher here already, I'm sorry, Miss Martinez has a system that's working, that works for her.
Maybe we should try that then.
So maybe we should gear our
Try something.
thoughts toward, hey, we have somebody that's a subject matter expert in dealing with this, and she's already done something. How many classrooms?
Teacher, teacher of the year, he does the shoe organizer too.
So how many classrooms, if we said we need, I guess, shoe organizers or whatever it is?
Something of the sort.
Probably 1,000 or so.
And that, how much a
How much
pop?
was your
I
expertise?
don't know. I would recommend
English
against the
department covered
shoe
it.
organizers. And if we were going to go this route, something that's more secure, that's something that has a lock and key, a phone locker. They do make phone lockers, but I am a proponent of the away, out of sight, put in your backpack, put in your back pocket, and it's the student's responsibility.
If it vibrates, that's the distraction. It's like,
They need to be gone. We need to burn them all. No,
No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Question, since we've been talking about like consequences and like the disciplinary actions, what are you guys considering as those consequences or like to take after?
What, I think you guys discussed that a little bit. Can you take that? What would be your process or what your hierarchy?
This is
This is what I drew up.
Okay, so I want to.
I was
this is your
asked,
thoughts. Okay.
yeah. So, on the policy, the draft that I saw, it didn't. I believe that the consequences were just too vague. And so I was asked by Mike Millings to return to it and put in what the teachers had discussed. And so on my copy here, the first consequence would be a student-led correction. So it would be a warning. Basically, the teacher calls you out or the security guard or at whatever staff member sees you with your device and asks you to put it away. That's a student-led intervention. They put it away, hopefully. If not, or it continues. Then the second step would be a teacher-led correction where upon this violation, the teacher would either instruct the student to lock their phone in one of those acrylic boxes with the key or gives them a pouch to lock it that they can unlock at the end of the period. And I did add in here, as I had discussed earlier, that an automated notification would be sent to the parent or guardian. Because that's gonna be the bulk of the warnings, and step 2 is gonna be the bulk of those. That's gonna be a lot of work. On the third one, the student would be sent to the SSC room. And there they would lock their device in that box with the key, and they would be able to get it at the end of the day. So instead of at the end of the period, it's at the end of the day.
Really quick, Ms.
Mhm.
Martinez, the SSC is the Student Support Center. That is not
Correct.
the suspension. It's not to be confused with that.
No, it's my understanding that
Two
that-
separate.
Yes, they are. So-
Which I also hear students want to go to because they only use their phones there. Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to ask that.
Well, that should be no use, but anyway.
Yeah, it is
Okay.
my understanding that they will have their own box, as we had discussed in the cell phone committee. At this time, the teachers wanted to make sure that, because sometimes students, when we send them to SSC, sometimes they're not happy about it. So we asked that an evaluation be done by the coordinator there. If the student is non-belligerent, they've locked their phone up, and then they can return to class. So they miss the least amount of time. If other intervention needs to be done or other supports need to be provided, that they will then keep them there in the SSC room until that's been addressed. And then beyond that, it would then go to administration, where the student will be picked up by security or escorted to administration to lock their phone up with administration. I added in that a contract should be given to the student at that time to take home, so that the parent is aware that on the next step, that the parent becomes part of that intervention. So at each step here, we had student-led correction, teacher-led correction, SSC coordinator correction, administrative correction with the contract going home. And on the 5th one, the parent would be asked to come and pick up the phone at that point. So that everybody involved has a part. That's the way I framed this. This is what the teachers had talked about, and I did kind of add in a few things that Mr. Millings did as well. The way I framed it is that every person involved, from the student, teacher, parent, administrator, every support that we have on campus would be involved in this. So it wouldn't be all on the teachers to police. It wouldn't be all on administration or security to police.
So can I ask Mr. Grado to, but I always want to make sure. And what's your thoughts on that process, Mr. Grado? And not to put you on the spot, but I'm sorry, but.
No, that's fine. I think definitely where it starts is with the teacher in terms of the relationship with students and the classroom management that they have. Ms. Martinez obviously has a great relationship and can have students, you know, in terms of work with her and on putting them away. I think it does take everybody involved. It's not necessarily putting it on one person. The only concern I have is taking it from the student for the day, just because if they don't see it in their, and many things can happen along the way that they don't have it in their eyesight. That's why I think, in my opinion, that if you were going to go that route, the locking box would probably be a better option in that sense, you know, for that period. But if it gets to that period where it's repeated, then they, you know, would go to an administrator and then from there deal with it at the administrative level.
And Mr. Nehan, your comments on it?
Well, I agree with Ms. Martinez. This needs to have the lightest and most limited impact on teachers and the instruction in class. And classroom management, I don't want to oversimplify it, but it all comes down to relationships with students. The better the relationship with students, the more apt students are to follow the classroom norms and policies that are established by the teacher. What steps do we take once a student has violated that first step and that second step? That's important. We have to stay within the law, and a student not or using their phone would be considered willful defiance. We cannot suspend for willful defiance. So then how do we tap the parent as an ally in this and make it be a group effort?
Well,
Do you-
also my question would be
Can I
if
finish
there's
up?
the for,
Madam President, can I just finish the process real quick? I want to know what teachers and I want to know what better grade on that thing. And then I want to throw it out to you guys real quick. Thank you, Madam President. You guys just heard that discussion. Give me some feedback. What's your thoughts?
Well, I had a question.
Well, go with the process because I'm
Okay.
trying to do a process here.
Okay.
You have a group, right? The teachers who's usually it's on. You have the managers, right? That deals with it. And then you have the guy, the boss, the big boss. So now I want to know what the students think about that process that Ms. Martinez just laid out.
the 5 steps.
Yes, because I don't want to be here all night. You don't want me making the decision myself and putting out what I think and then we vote on it. We don't, or whatever. So, well, we won't vote, but I'll be voting sometime soon, but go.
I see like that actually working out like from like you're getting a warning, then you're getting the next step. Okay, you're gonna get your phone like taken away basically, or sealed off, like completely off to your limits. And then you if like I know students that wouldn't listen, so then it's the next step. I personally think that plan like could work out from what's seen at Eastside.
Okay, next. I kind of want to hear from everybody. Just want to.
I think that's a good idea too, but maybe try to not rely so much on the parents because sometimes they aren't so available throughout the day to come and pick up the phone or something like that.
That would be at the end.
That would be the final.
Oh, okay.
It's like, okay, what are we gonna do? The parents gotta
I
grab.
think a good consequence would also be is if they take out the phone, like for the second step, and they don't listen to you putting the phone away, since it does say that if we put our phones in pouches, we'll be able to have them throughout our lunches or passing periods. What the consequence can come is like if they take it out the second time, okay, you want to have it out right now, then you're gonna have it taken away during your time, during your lunch time.
And then pick it up after school.
Yeah,
Can you do that?
since.
Pursuant with the law?
We could do that. I don't recommend confiscating student phones. It puts staff in an awkward position.
Gotcha. Next. But sir, come on, you came. You sure you don't want to say anything?
Well, okay.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Sorry. Just tell me what you think, honestly. What did you think about that process?
Sorry, I have to think. I think I see it also working out, but I do have a question about it though. Would this be like, so specifically, if the issue started in one period, would it go through like the whole day? Like imagine, so like they get the warning in the first period and then like say fourth period, they get another warning, like would it just be boom, then boom, or is it like,
Restarting everything.
yeah, there's
Yes.
like,
Exactly my question.
I would assume that teachers aren't gonna communicate like that. Say, okay, you got Joe coming over there. Joe did this. It's probably gonna be, you're in a classroom, put it away. You don't put it away, then we're gonna go to the next step.
okay.
So then they're never gonna get to the next step.
No,
these
in
kids-
that, but
No, but listen, if you
No.
give the first warning and the kid knows, it's coming next, but
Right.
let me just check next period, we're only gonna ever stay at the first step.
Right, that is that's the like good point, because
yeah,
like
but
the
the
other teacher
first
won't.
step is what? Self-correction. And if
Yeah.
they correct, you don't get to the second step. So if they're
Well, they're
correct,
never gonna get to the second step in that period.
Exactly.
It-
I'm
it's-
sorry.
It's over.
what I'm saying is I'm a teacher. You pull it out until you put it away, and you don't, then we're gonna move. But if you do, it's done. You put it away, now we're back to
No, I
classroom.
understand that, but periods are what, 50 minutes?
Yeah, like around 50.
Okay, I
But-
mean,
but how would you, are we gonna have?
Would you
are
like
we gonna
tell
put
the
a-
next, my
are we
question
gonna
is,
Tag a thing and say he's got one warning
but
today.
that's what
I
I'm
mean,
like.
how
just
are you gonna
don't-
do that?
Just don't.
Scarlet letter.
Like, just don't have that.
So, and when you say, Ms. Cron or Madam President, when you say don't have them, what do you mean don't have them? Put them in a box when you walk into school and you don't get them?
Well, either, or.
But we
or-
can't do that pursuant to
Well,
the.
no, like, get the shoe organizer, hang it up, it's in, I see you, don't worry, I'll get you.
I
And
like
then
that because it
move on.
works.
Because then you don't even need to get to these because the phone isn't even there. You know, I would rather have it, to me, it's just the phone is a temptation. But what that also would mean is that instruction cannot take place on phones anymore. And I don't know, are we ready to do that yet?
Well, I
don't-
think if they go through a special process potentially. I mean, I like the idea of putting it in there because the reason I like it, because I have a professional who says it works. So who am I to tell her what to do? She's the professional. It works for her. She's been doing it for how long, Ms. Martinez?
This was my third year.
Okay, and it works. Students listen.
Yeah, I mean, when I say it works, it goes back to building those relationships with those students and holding them to those expectations. But also there was no prior support though at the school level. So, if a kid didn't do what I asked them to do, that relationship had to come into play and I'd have to work on that to get them to do it, to get them to want to
But your
do
new
it.
process gives you a lot more support.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay.
And that's where I think that,
So
that we'll see.
I like the wall idea. I like the wall idea because she's doing it. Now go back to the kids.
So I agree, but personally, I think there should be less steps. I think there's too many.
Like three steps.
Yeah, I think there's too many steps. I think there's too many steps, and students would definitely be more afraid to take out their phones. And so you wouldn't have to go through that whole process, and it'll just be easier.
But I think the easiest would be Miss Corona. What she's saying is if they don't have it because it's on the wall. You still can see it, but it's on the wall like Miss Martinez does in her classroom. And that seems like a process that for her it's been working. You don't have it, there's no temptation to grab it. Because even us, you've seen us a couple times. My wife called. I'm just messing with you. Just tell me to get home. But anyway, but Carla's picked up her phone right here. So we get it because it's right here. But if it was there, right, I couldn't just go up there and get it. I'd be more focused. I wouldn't be distracted. So I think the system, talking about the system, Madam President, is what Ms. Martinez said. And I like the steps.
I like the 3 steps and the wall.
But I think I don't understand the 3 steps, but let's.
Yeah, yes.
My name's Shannon Lewis.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Concerned with having just the shoe racking is there has been theft. I know of a sped student that had it was in an art class, had a phone there.
Yeah, I guess
Someone told, I
Yeah.
think that's put in a lot of liability on the district for all these phones that could get taken. I know a teacher last year got her first one. So, I think definitely want the.
Yeah. It's the statement too. Okay.
A lot of kids in the cell phone committee, a lot of the newer ninth graders are like, we did it in junior high, so
I think I have that same concern about theft, especially being a law enforcement officer, but our policy, we're going to have good cameras. Our policy, not in the classroom, but our policy is there's no liability to the department or the district on that, correct?
If we compelled students to put their phones in a shoe holder and then the student who complied suffers because a student who didn't or decided to take their phone, regardless of the policy, we could be exposed.
Okay. So do we go to like lock boxes in classrooms? Is there a system where, all right, put your phones in there and the teacher shuts it down, it's locked, and then the teacher unlocks it,
And then the
everybody grabs their phone.
I
What do you think about that?
Vending machine, right? You know how they have rows and things, you just open it and.
Well, you could have a
Yeah.
cabinet,
There's-
everybody
there's
puts their
different
thing,
stuff.
the teacher shuts it, locks it, we start instruction, that's where the phones are. And then she opens it and then they take the phones, that would.
Even that has the potential for the wrong phone to be taken or your phone and a bonus to be taken. So anytime we're taking control of property, we're taking the liability of that, and kids are quick.
Is it too much to ask to just not bring him to school? It is, right? I thought so. I just wanted to ask.
The committee did look at several of the boxes that are available on Amazon. You can see, and each slot has its own key. Sort of like when you go to an amusement park and you have the locker and it has the little silicone bracelet so the student can hold onto it.
Cost on that, Greg?
Yeah.
Probably.
We have to do an analysis of cost, and would we want a set for the entire classroom or just say 10 slots for students who are on step 2 and need to segregate their phone?
And I think that that's what we came down to in the committee is that there were just, there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of money that could be wasted. And that's where we landed on off and away so that the students would be held responsible, hopefully, that they would put that away and that we wouldn't have to spend a whole lot of money. But we talked about having maybe like 5 to 10 pouches available in each class, or a smaller lockbox in the classroom for that second step.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So can we start seeing what we agree on? What do we agree on? Do we agree on Miss Martinez's steps as? Do
But
we?
those steps aren't in here.
No,
Hold on,
they're.
hold on. Hold on. I understand that. And if they're not in here, I'm not voting for this. I'm just telling you.
Me too. Is there a way that we can involve parents sooner?
I
like
think
what
That's
she
why I'm
said.
saying the 3 steps.
Okay.
It's like 3 strikes, you're out. By the 3rd step, your mom's coming to the school.
And I like
picking
what
up.
you said, if they're not readily available, then you're not getting your phone.
Yeah,
But I
should have thought of that.
That's not
before you
happening again.
Used your phone.
But I do also want to acknowledge that we have a lot of kids that don't have parents
They have guardians.
Then
or
they shouldn't take their phone
foster.
out.
Then I mean,
because
because we can't expect mom. I mean, my
Yes, we
mother
can.
worked 2 jobs
Yes, we
to
can.
come.
I
Yes.
could tell you if my kid was at school
Yeah,
and
but you're a caring parent. There's a lot of parents that are equally as irresponsible with their phone.
But the children would know them, and they would also know not to take it out because it probably.
I mean,
so what do you, I think we have 5 steps with Miss Martinez, right? So
Yeah.
You guys, what would the 3 steps be?
I mean, I would have 2. If
Okay.
you're talking about, I would have 2. Like you're.
Okay, let me go over here.
Yeah,
What would be your 2?
I would be student correction and then parents. I think parents should get involved before the teachers.
Yeah.
I think
But
parents should be
who,
involved in.
but who would be the ones to take it to the parent step? Like, who is the one then to tell the?
Well, I think
the one
that-
that was gonna take
so-
on step 5.
So to her
Well,
first
wait, I don't know.
step,
That's
where
what I mean.
the first step where it says student-led correction, upon the first violation, the teacher has to tell the student to put away the
Yep.
phone. At that moment, that's the teacher is already involved. So 1 and
Yep.
2 is the same. And then an automatic phone call to the legal guardian or parent.
So,
And
so
who does that?
This, we have
Security?
you could do the security, or you can do
It
like,
says administration will contact
Yeah.
the parent or guardian.
so you guys, I just want to write this down.
Automated phone.
1 is self-correction. We all agree on that, right?
right, so 1
Okay.
and 2 are the same.
And 2 is what exactly? So the kid has the phone out. I'm not putting it away. The teacher's like, I told you to put away, didn't put away. Now what's the next step?
On
Step
campus
5,
no.
parent intervention.
No, Miss Martinez,
No, too soon.
because you guys got to kind of.
On campus detention,
You-
because now you've escalated it.
But wait, because on campus detention, I'm hearing it's the student support because detention is a
Is that
punishment.
and that's if you do.
And that's
We don't want to do that. We want to put them in the
right,
other room.
but if you're telling us, then they're at a class, they're not
So
learning and
administrative-
feeding the purpose.
Administrative intervention.
But
So-
but
So just remind us of the steps real quick. Just so
So-
we got first step.
First, you
I
warn them
printed
and
that
they
out for you,
put
and I
it
gave
away.
mine to Greg.
2
Thank
is
you.
the teacher tells them to lock it. So in a pouch or in a locker.
I
in
think
a
that should
desk.
be all 1 step.
Okay,
That should be all 1 step.
that makes sense.
Okay,
Because-
so if a teacher has to tell them
but
to put it away, they're going in the box.
Right.
Greg,
Putting it away.
boxes?
I would suggest a correction first, just like a student who talks in class. Doctor, I'm not actually not, but I'm practical. Dr. Grado, you need to focus on this lesson, stop talking. Just the same, Dr. Grado, put your phone away. And it's quick, and it's a recorded correction in the teacher's mind, and then you get to step 2. Then you become more actionable. But I
And the
think
parents
that it's
get notice
important.
on step 2, correct? Step 1, you,
One and step 2.
yeah, you get, if I have to tell you, your parents get notified. Step 2,
really?
yeah, it said it right there.
Like a
Is
text
that what?
message that says your
Oh,
son or
and
daughter will soon lose.
I know, but what is the automated notification? What is that?
So we were told that we could enter like the student's name and ID number into like a Google form, and then they would upload that to
Who's the
automated
they?
message.
Who's the they?
Administration.
But who is that administration on a?
It would be a Google form, and then there would be just like an absence attendance call. It would be a little bit less automated, but a dialer message would go home, a standardized message.
Human being behind
It
it
would
does
be,
that.
it would be a non-teaching staff, and I'm not sure who exactly on
I
each
figured that.
campus.
It's because you gotta let the parents know that kids are
No, no,
messing
no,
up with the
yeah.
phones, and it's pretty soon you're gonna get down
Okay,
here.
so
to get
you're
this
saying
phone.
1 and 2 are together. Okay.
Well, 1, self-correction. I think a teacher go, hey, put your phone away. And they do it.
Yeah. Put your phone away.
And they don't do it. Now you ramp it up. What was the number two was lock
Teachers
it up?
did say they would just warn the class as the kids are walking
Yeah,
in. the
see, that's like,
classroom.
that's like the pre-warning.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, hey, guys,
at
you
the
know,
beginning of class.
Make sure you put your phones away.
Exactly. And we were told that that would suffice as that step one.
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of the same thing then.
Okay, then keep going. Because
and
I
then
still don't know what the next step is.
On the third one,
And then- yeah, you're coming right next, so hold on.
on the third one, they would then be sent to, now this says OCD, but at our site it's SSC. We send them to SSC.
Okay, so then they go to.
And there is a difference between on-campus detention and student support center.
Yeah.
One is disciplinary, one is corrective.
Yeah, SSC that's where we want to send them. Okay, so we're back to
So third one is they go to SSC and they lock them in there for the day.
Yeah.
Like a kid in it for
Yeah.
the phone.
The phone.
Yes.
So the phone, and then the phone, but if the kids, then they give them an option. If the kid's like, okay, I messed up, my phone's there, go back to class, because we want them back in class. They just don't have their phone. They got to go back to that to get their phone. You follow me? And that's locked up. We have control of that. Nobody's going to get that
I
phone.
know, but Mr. Nehan is saying we want to try to stay away from confiscating
No, it's
property.
Correct, correct.
Because this will get there much more often than we think.
And
There's gonna be a lot of you all in SSC. But please speak.
students will be very protective of their phones. That's why I say it puts staff in a bad position.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if by any chance, since you guys want to get rid of some steps, can we just avoid the first warning, like telling them, oh, can you put the phone away? Because I feel like if it's already a thing to not have your phone, how she stated, it's like the kids walking in, it's already a warning, like, hey guys, it's time for class. We shouldn't have our phones out.
Yeah, but she said that is step one. The teachers talked about just having them come in and going, hey guys, put your phones away. And then pretty soon it's just they're not gonna say it because they're just gonna know, don't have your phone. Because once that step one's already done, you got your phone, now go somewhere else or lock it up or whatever.
Basically, you're saying that becomes just a part of the culture. Good morning, put your phones away. Here we go.
Yeah,
That
I
kind of
wouldn't
thing.
really.
So then it comes in this policy or regulation that would not even be a part of the corrective actions. It is a part of the regulation. You know, because then it wouldn't be a step.
So yeah,
I
we
see what
agree
you're
with
saying.
you on that.
Yeah.
And I think you guys want to reduce that as well. And I agree.
But then we move step one to not a corrective action. It's
That's
just
fine. That's fine.
above the line, we'll call it.
So if you have your phone out, what's the step?
So
somebody, I'm all
No,
about.
right here. So what's the step?
Have a
so
phone.
you've already warned them at that point. They already know it
Yep.
has to be put away.
Yeah.
So then you're gonna ask them to put it in the pouch or the classroom locker.
Okay, Mr.
At that
Nehan.
point,
I'm just trying to get through this because it's really not that complicated. We just got to make a decision and move on and then
It's not that
reevaluate.
we just didn't have them in the rule.
yeah,
Like, that's it. Don't have them.
But Carly, Madam President, hold on. You
Yeah,
keep
and
saying that.
that's what we
yeah.
wanted to clarify. And that's why we have that third step is because what if this student says no? If they defy us, they will not put it in the locker, they won't put it in the pouch, then it goes to SSC automatically because they still haven't put it away. That was the thought process behind it. But I see what you're saying though. If they comply with 2, they'll never get to 3 because it's locked up for the rest of the period.
Yeah. So Carla, when you say just not have them, what does that look like to me, Madam President? You keep saying that.
Ideally, I would just put
I just want to hear it.
if they're in your backpacks, turn them off, put them away, that's it, done. And then trust the student to not ever.
So the
them
rule
back.
is that they'll be, because not everybody have backpacks, so they'll be in your backpack or in your pocket,
Or-
Your hoodie. Wear
your
hoodies.
pocket.
And it's not, I think the language is
It should
off
be
and
on your
away, not
person.
silent and away, because silent is
Visible.
vibrating. Yeah,
It's
it's
not
just,
misleading.
Okay, so teacher, it's pretty much common knowledge. Don't have your phone comes out. That's step 2 already. You're saying put it in the box.
Yeah.
Okay. Greg, you okay with them in classroom, putting it in a lock box?
I'm okay if they voluntarily do that. And if they refuse, then they go to step 3.
They go to, yeah, no, they can get it right there. Okay, you're gone, boom. And that's how it's going to happen. And then of course in our SSCs that there's no phones in there. Same, the policy still applies in there. Remember how you said you have a concern, they just go there because they like their phone. The policy applies in there. So that's easy. So 1 is moved out of corrective action. It's just the policy. 2, if the phone is scene, you tell them to put it in the box. If they don't put it in the box, they go to SSC, and then administrators start dealing with them there. Because the teacher said, do it. Don't. Okay, gone. It's really, that's cutting down steps.
Yeah. And
So
each
we all,
time-
so
each
I'm gonna
time-
make sure we all agree there. We're good.
Well, but
wait,
each time you have to notify
A parent,
a
parent
parent or
notification.
guardian, each time.
That's in that automatic Google thing.
So the phone has been put in a box. At what point does the phone come out of the box in step 2? Because if we're sending the kid to SSC,
No, but he's going to SSC because he didn't put it in the box. You follow me? I go in, I see a phone. Put it in the box because we've already warned you. It goes in the lockbox with the teacher because it's right there in the classroom, right? Then if they say, no, I'm not going to put it in the box, you go, okay, cool, out of my classroom because that's limited time. Get the problem out to SSC. And now you're starting to deal with them and management or administrators dealing.
no, but it's saying that,
That's what it says. We're trying to make it right now.
so you're defining
We're
it.
defining it right now.
To read.
Or whatever. Yeah. So I just want to say this. I'm just trying to get through this process real quick. 1 is moved up because y'all know, and they could say it. Y'all know. 2, if we see a phone right away and you're not supposed to have a phone because it's supposed to be put away, that goes into the box.
Whatever.
You're like, okay, they got my phone for the classroom period. Teacher gives it back at the unlocks it, gives it back. If the student says, no, I'm not putting my phone in the box, great. Get out of my classroom, go to SCC, and then they start dealing with it. The next process is, Ms. Martinez, can you read it? They go
Yeah, it says administrative intervention. Upon the 4th violation, the student will receive a security escort to the office where their device will be secured in a locked box. At that time, an administrator or designee will present the student with a cell phone contract. The contract will state that any further violations will require a parent or guardian to retrieve the device from the school. The contract will be sent home for signature and a parent or guardian will be contacted by administration.
And Greg, is that legal? Can we do that?
I'm sorry, we were having a sidebar. Can you repeat that?
Sure, I'm just trying to get through this process. So
I understand. Just a quick recap.
okay.
No problem.
First
Um,
is the student that we moved step 1 up into, that's just the rules. Now we're doing corrective action. Corrective action, if a teacher sees a cell phone, put it in the box. Student says, I'm not putting it in the box. Great. Security, get the student out. You're going to SSC, and then management starts dealing with that. They put it in the lockbox there. If the kid's good, says, I messed up, get them back to class because we don't want them there. But if they don't, they're in class. You do a contract, send this home, and every way a parent's being notified. Now you got to have a parent sign about the cell phone, correct? Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Everybody agree with that so far? Any detractors? Okay, next.
Maybe. Go ahead.
And then, so at the end of 4th.
I didn't look at this.
Devices may be retrieved from administration after the final bell. And then if it continued, so the contract's gone home, the parent's been notified by administration, the parent knows what the deal is at this point. The 5th one would be upon the 5th violation of the cell phone policy, the student's device will be secured in a locked storage box. Administration will contact the parent or guardian who will be required to retrieve the device at their earliest convenience. Loss of privilege. Any student reaching parent intervention will be given the option to either leave their device at home for the remainder of the school year or voluntarily check it in with administration each morning for secure storage during this day.
I don't believe either of those are enforceable, the last 2.
Okay, okay.
Well,
We got to make sure we can enforce it.
Yeah.
too.
yeah, but I think we are not going to have enough staff to manage
I agree.
5,000, or wait, each school has a minimum of 1,500 to 3,000 approximately. I mean, kids, this is going to become rampant, and then it's going to be, okay, you're out of the class, you're out of the class, you're out of the class. I just don't know how we can.
Carla, I used to get
Feel this.
level 4 inmates because we had a policy of single file lines. Hold on. I just want to tell you. And that's the point.
Prisoners,
And
you're
that's, hold on. Can I finish it? Can I finish my
Yes.
statement, Madam President? Because we need to figure out a policy, get it done. I'm going to spend all night here. This is stupid. I
It's
had level.
important.
Wait, hold on. Can I finish my statement?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I got level 4 inmates to walk single file lines. Guys doing 300 years because it's you just keep enforcing it. And then they finally get it. Is it going to be rough? Absolutely.
In the
Look
beginning.
how rough it is just trying to do the policy here. All right.
In the beginning.
Right. Here's school boards getting this done right now. Oh, it sounds good. And it's not going to work. I want something that is. understand, everybody understands the consequences, because this policy doesn't. I want to make sure we're legal and we have, if I say we're going to do it, we have the authority to do it and the will to do it. Because those are two different things. One, you have to have the authority to do it. If you have the authority to do it, do you have the moxie and the will? Is it going to be tough? Yes. I don't think this is going to be a problem in 4 years, because in 4 years, the policy is just going to be done. This is important now because these kids are used to this and we're used to this and the teachers are used to this. I wanted to hammer down the policy. You guys, I'll go with what she said right now, except for the last parts. We may have to figure that out because of the enforceability. I think you thought this through. There was a committee. I agree with you. We've already worked out. We're not going to put it on the wall. I like that idea because it works for you. You want to put it in a backpack? I'm okay with that. Now we're already to the point where if the kid's got a phone, we're going right into putting it in a box because we can enforce that.
But I have a question, because this is all about the students. What are the corrective action plans?
Can we
for
can we finish students first and then we'll
But isn't it the same
staff's? Yeah. Can we finish the
Oh.
student part? So let's not get derailed because staff's easy.
Is
Staff, I was a lieutenant. I'm telling you, let me go back to my prison days. Staff's easy because staff can be disciplined. There's no rule that can staff be disciplined.
Yes.
If they don't follow
For
policy.
policy, yes.
Okay, staff can be disciplined. Staff's easy. Yeah. Yes. All that. We are absolutely
Yeah.
no earbuds, no watches. Yes.
What I tell you.
Well,
I do it.
Miss Mann already has that covered. So let's finish the kits just so we can all get on the same page.
And just to that point, the one challenge with the acrylic boxes on the wall is they're not big enough for an iPad. So we may want to identify separately.
No iPads.
I
We don't
understand.
need iPad.
I understand, but that wouldn't fit in a box.
Okay,
Or
but-
so a tablet would not fit in a box.
Okay, so we don't allow iPads. There's no iPads in school. It's really that simple. Unless it's like sore.
Cell phones.
Well, this policy says the law talks about cell phones, right? Not
Well, it
iPads.
says smartphones, but now in the.
Does it say, does iPads fall in smartphones?
It does, because they can make phone calls.
I believe it says and other devices.
It's all devices that can receive a signal.
Well,
Your
Well, I-
Nintendo Switch is.
thanks for throwing a wrench in this. I thought.
No, we're
this-
good. We're good. We
I
just need to
worked out here.
identify
Trying to
separately.
lead this.
Don't we have like like some kind of a shop that can make them for us? In one of the schools?
Get our welding class.
Don't know that we have a student shop that could make enough in time.
Right, but we can work them in later, right? Let's just get the cell phones, the smart.
Um,
Yeah.
So if you have a tablet, it goes right to SCC. That's my role. That's it.
no, quick.
Yeah, that's it.
So everyone, we have talked a lot, and y'all are getting nervous out there, but I want to hear why. Like, what is this? What is there's something visceral happening with your body language. What are those concerns? What are you feeling? Are you all are good with what we're saying? Because this is your opportunity. to
One
speak.
shot, one opportunity. M&M, I'm telling you.
Headphones.
Oh,
Yeah, because I feel like, yeah, it kind of does in some way doesn't
Why?
allow us to hear what the teacher is teaching. But sometimes headphones aren't used while the teacher is teaching. It's used while we're doing our independent work. Yeah,
What's gonna come? What's gonna be coming out of those earbuds?
yeah, that's the thing.
Trying to understand
you
that.
can tap it and it can.
No, but I'm just trying to say, if your phone's off and away, because that's the law, and you got the earpods on, right?
Mhm.
What's being played in the earpods? Nothing.
Fashion.
So what's the issue? But the bottom line is the concept
It's
is we don't want you distracted with anything. So, I mean, the bottom line, we'll
You
work through the iPads.
You could have them on the rest of the day. You just can't have them on within the class.
So
So you could just pull them out.
we're talking about
know-
phones, iPod, watches, I guess iPads now,
Glasses.
glasses,
Maybe
so
that's-
anything that could be distractive.
Well, to the glasses, my teacher uses glasses that are smart glasses, but they're prescription
No
though.
more. No
Are you gonna take away those prescription glasses?
Wait, hold on.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
for students then, there are students though.
I can tell you this, whatever we're gonna do to the students, that it's gonna be, I'm not being a hypocrite. We're gonna, because the teachers need to be teaching. So
Yeah, but
That's easy.
if there's
It's an
students
easy
with
fix.
prescription glasses that have those smart glasses, are you just gonna take them away? Like,
and smart glasses.
You know how many glasses I own?
but like,
trust
if there's
me.
smart glasses, but there's the prescription, are you gonna take them away?
And when you say smart glasses, what do? What does smart glasses do?
Yeah, you're just gonna have.
What do they do? What-
Yeah, those Ray-Bans. But they're
What does
prescription
smart
though.
glasses do? They record, right? Video?
Photo, music.
Yeah, all
Photo.
those.
What else?
They do a lot of music calls, but if the prescription though, they're not gonna waste another pair just for school.
They should know better.
That's getting way out. We're getting way out of the box. We'll ban them too. I don't care. I'm getting ready to start banning. Go.
I had a question on regarding the headphones. Is this policy going to eliminate it completely to the point where when we as a class do something which requires the school issue headphones, is that something too where it's like you can either use the school issue headphones or your personal headphones?
It's all non-district owned devices. So if a teacher was allowing you to have a Chromebook and district headphones, which we have tons of them, that would be okay.
So it would force all students to use the school issue headphones during those times too?
During class time, yes.
Okay.
Please make sure they're sanitized.
Carla.
Good point.
Okay.
Okay, so
So can we recap to where we're at? Because I'd like to be exactly where we're at. So number one from Ms. Martinez is going to normal, right? That's not corrective. 2, if a kid's seen with a phone, it's going to go into a lockbox.
or something of the sort.
In classroom.
It's going to go in somewhere away, not
Yes.
personally away. That
In
you could put,
classroom.
it's not in your backpack. It's going to be with the teacher away. Okay. If the student says, no, I'm not doing that, they're going to go to the SSC and then the teachers are out of it. You did your job. The student's out. We're teaching back. Everything's going good. That student goes to SCC and they say, okay, put it here in the lockbox. And if the kid puts it in the lockbox, great. If the evaluation will be done at the SSC, if the kid's still good, put him back in class. He can come back and get the phone afterwards. If he's like, no, I'm not putting in the box, administration gets involved. What's that next step, Mr. Nehan, Mr. Grado?
That's a challenge.
Yep. Okay.
It's parent contact, and it potentially loss of privilege. However, we cannot suspend for willful defiance.
Okay. When you say loss of privilege, because I'm sorry, I missed the contract part, but if we get to the kid says just, I'm not putting this away, what is the ultimate thing that we can do as a district to that child?
Not return them to class.
Okay, not to return them to class. What about the phone? Can we restrict them from ever bringing a phone on to?
I'd want to consult with legal counsel, but I don't believe that we can.
Okay, so are we stuck? Then we're stuck in that quagmire right there. What do you do with the kid? Can't suspend him, right?
Correct.
And we can't ban the cell phone for the year.
I don't know. I want to verify.
Okay. So let's start with the first part of our policy where we got to where we're stuck. Will we consult with our legal counsel? Do we all agree on the first steps?
Yes.
Do we all?
Yes.
Mr. Grado? Okay. I think, okay, you guys agree so far? Then we got to work out. Okay. See how we got it? We got compliance. All right. Mr. Nehan, I would say, Madam President, that we get with Jabari ASAP and have him evaluate what is it? Because you always have to have that ultimate. What does the law allow us to do if there's just a kid defying? Because we can't suspend just on defiance. But shouldn't we? I have to assume, and maybe that'll be my first bill I run as an assemblyman. You have to be able to have that ultimate. You can't have a phone. If you don't comply, you don't get a phone at school. I mean, that they have to have, somebody has to thought that. So can we get that answer? But short of
It's a
that,
state law.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's something that can be done.
yeah, there has to be.
I cannot, well, I don't know. Some legislation is really
Absolutely.
Vague.
Vague and very,
So are we good where we're at on that discussion? What we would like to see in writing, Mr. Nehan, for the, would it be the regulation or the policy? Regulations. So we're good with the policy. There's anybody got complaints? The regulation is the
Step by step.
the details.
Mhm.
And Ms. Martinez, are you good with that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, great, because this is coming to action on July 15th. Unless we
those
need it
steps.
sooner. Do we need it sooner? For implementation and answering those questions and
we'll
stuff.
have legal counsel, right?
Okay. All right. Any other last thoughts, questions, discussion?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you at East Side.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Anything? Are we good, Rebecca? What was your person? Rihanna, why did I say Rebecca?
Rihanna.
Rihanna. Okay. All right. Then we're gonna move to E, adjournment scene die. Is recommended that a board adjourn this meeting. Can I get a motion? Motion. Second.
I want to stay.
Second.
I want to hang out longer.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Friday afternoon, friends.